Hi, I forgot I turned on the stream. And I was just looking at my stuff. Look, these pants have 14 agility on them. That's really good, but also 13 gold. Is it 13 gold good? No. Ain't no way. Amy's blanket. Why does that sound familiar? Orb of Mismantle? Oh my god, it's like Stelvan Mismantle. Do you guys know the legend of Stelvan? No, you guys don't play fucking World of Warcraft. Wolf Clubs, Black Velvet Rogues. Hi guys, hello there. Merry Christmas chat, shut up. Hello Logs, hello. Ooh, 6 agility. Oh, damn, that's a lot of money. Holy shit, I'm not gonna buy any of this. It's so expensive and I don't need it because I'm just gonna replace it once I start doing Jomergon. You at least did play Warcraft 3? That's not good enough. Camp Taraho Flat Point? I only flew here because I wanted the world buff, but there's no world buff. What level am I? How can you check your level? 125? Okay. Hello there, medicine man. I spent all day working on a merch document. How's phase 2? I have no idea. I've been so fucking busy. I have so much to do. But like, whose life isn't busy, you know? So today, I was taking... I spent all day looking at merch. And like, you know, the sources. Like, where it comes from. And got a streamer I can tolerate. So like, whatchamacallit, one of the last things Mogu did before she left was she gave me a source to a website where you can buy your merch like directly from the factories, so you don't have to go through a middleman, and the prices are super cheap. We're talking like a couple of cents per item, so the profit margins are huge, you know, minus the shipping costs. And I was looking at everything and I was compiling it all together literally all day and doing all kinds of math, and I came to the conclusion that merch, even with ridiculous margin costs, just isn't very profitable. But I was so surprised. Like, the amount of money you make from merch is just not worth the hassle. So I'm just like, okay, maybe I'll work with the middleman so I don't have to deal with this shit. Wait, what's this? I have another instance of people in VR chat blocking me for no reason the minute I leave to do something else after I clearly explained to them to communicate to me if there's an issue, that I'm autistic. And the crazy thing is, they bothered friending me in the first place. Well, I don't have context for that. But there's also the fact that there's something I've learned where people just don't want to tell you that you're in the wrong. They would rather just ignore you because it's easier and you don't have to confront someone. That's not about direct profit. It's about furthering the brand. No. I mean, if there's no profit, there's no real point in doing it because, like, you can further the brand by just getting more viewers. So honestly, I'm thinking, like, what's the point? If it requires so much effort, why even bother with it? I mean, we'll probably still do merch anyway, but it's just not as lucrative as I thought. After running the numbers, you just don't really make anything. I thought you knew merch makes zero profit since day one. No. Like, I found, like, I have the source. where literally the prices are so cheap that it's almost like ridiculous. Like, for example, playmats. If we're gonna get playmats commissioned, we can sell them for like $20 to $25 pretty easily, because that's how much people usually pay for playmats. But we get them for like $1.50. So like the profit margins are insane. And it's still not profitable. I mean, it is profitable. It's technically profitable. It's just, it's not profitable enough where we could just do like literally anything else with our time and probably it would be more lucrative. But it does technically make enough, but also then you might not, because you might just not sell anything, or you might sell very little merch. Because it's nice to do it for the fans. I didn't even think of that. You know, it never even occurred to me to think about the fans. Because I think, like, yeah, like, I buy Rosemi merch, and I wish she had better merch, because the merch she has kind of sucks. But if they had better merch, oh, you bet your ass I'd buy it. Once again, your rock cavalry leaves me shocked. I'm a businessman. Which means I was thinking of the numbers only and not people.
What brings you
because
here?
I literally spent all day doing math. Honestly, even if I wasn't, I probably wouldn't have thought of that.
Meet again.
This is why I have lots of people on my team whose opinions I trust and value and take into consideration. And why I think it's crazy that there's so many like content creators who won't listen to someone's opinion unless they're successful.
Greetings. Walk with the earth, mother. May the eternal sun shine.
Businessman, icon of sin, same difference. Like Cafe Fico, for example. You brought up a good point, and I immediately was like, oh, that is a good point. You know, maybe it is worth it. Like today, I met someone in VR chat, and I was talking to them and being myself. Although I was asking them kind of weird questions, and they later apologized if I was being a little weird, and apologized I was being a little bit too. And then later I apologized if I was doing too much, and they lied to me and said, you're fine, even though it's not really, which fines confuse me. But before I tell this to everyone I be in VR chat, that if I'm making them feel uncomfortable, just say that and I'll chill, because I don't mean to make people uncomfortable. Did you actually apologize to them that many times? Because that's incredibly off-putting. So they have books, online that are all about how to communicate with people and be good at conversations. And most of them will tell you not to apologize because it is an annoying trait that people don't like. You like to apologize? Well, stop. And I would highly recommend, like, if this is actually a big problem, to read those self-help books. Because I read them. I love reading self-help books. They're great. It sounds like you could very much benefit from these self-help books if this is a problem that is upsetting you constantly. Do they have that book in Canada? I don't think Stim's ever apologized. The Canadian thing of apologizing all the time is kind of a myth, just like their accent. The hockey thing is 100% true, though. Canadians love hockey. They're a bunch of hockey fiends. Okinawa? Who the fuck am I fighting here? I gotta summon my dude.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
You heard the man. It's not worth it.
I need to get closer.
Where's your merch?
I need a target. I need a
My wallet
target.
is ready. Yeah, Cafe Fico, where's your merch at? You can just go through a middleman, so you don't have to, like, do anything. I think Streamlabs has a middleman who will do it all for you. But what if I don't like people? I'm pretty antisocial and I like people. But only on my own terms. I don't like people when it's not on my terms, you know? How long has it been since you started a classic horde character? I'm playing a classic horde character right now. Sounds like I'd have to put in 1 hour of work or so. I could use that 1 hour to stream instead. 1 hour of work is nothing.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
Log said Canadians love hockey. They do. I haven't met a single Canadian that doesn't like hockey. Whereas I don't think I've ever met a single American who likes hockey.
I can't cast that yet. I don't have a target.
But you keep asking questions about the quests and objectives as if you don't remember what to do. No, I don't.
That's still recharging.
You love hockey, especially the part where they fight. Stim says they rarely fight, though. Collect Owatanaka's tail spike. He's a blue lizard that walks around this area. He's usually, like, over here, though, in my experience. Most Canadians hate the French, and most French Canadians hate the English Canadians. Why? Why is there, like, one state in Canada that speaks French? I don't get it. You're a gamer? You don't like sports? I don't like sports either. But I played sports in high school. You got your braces moved today? Well, that's neat. It felt like hell getting them removed. Well, that sucks. Oh my god. There's something I realized recently. Everybody I know who's like bad at talking, or I don't want to say they're bad at talking, but who I feel are not very fun to talk to, are usually people who like start conversations by just telling me things about themselves. It's like, hey, I went to the store today. I'm like, and I should care? Like, they just tell me things about themselves.
That spell isn't ready yet.
It's like, I had a hamburger for lunch today. And I'm like, I don't remember asking. I never say that, but it's something I always think. Like, they'll open a conversation and then just tell me what they're doing or what they've done today. And I'm just like, I'm gonna have to carry this conversation. They clearly want to talk, but they're giving me nothing to work with. So I'll reply, oh, what did you go to the store for? They're like, oh, for candy. It's Valentine's Day, you know. I'm like, that's neat. Did you get anything good? Yeah, I got some, like, heart-shaped candies. Awesome. I like them too. I usually get them on half off. Oh, they have them half off over there? Yeah, that was my favorite part of Valentine's Day, was getting half off candy. Oh, that's cool. Yep. It's the most boring conversation. The reason it's boring is because I'm the one who has to do all the work, because they don't know how. They obviously want to talk, and I care about these people, so like I'll talk back to them. But it's just like not interesting. What would the perfect conversation you'd wish to be like?
That's still
If someone came to me to tell me something interesting. Or ask me questions about my life. Like, for example, like, Leah is a really good conversation partner. Because when she talks, she always says something ridiculous. And always asks questions, like, you know, just asks questions. It's so much better if someone asks you questions rather than just telling you things. Like, if you're talking with someone and you think, like, it's annoying or boring, it's usually because they're just pointing things out to you. Or they're not asking you anything. They're telling you about things. Like, if you're in a car and they just start telling you, it's like, hey, church is chicken. I love it. I'm just like, I don't care. Why are you telling me this? But if they actually, like, ask you questions while also saying things, like, that's someone who's, like, an interesting conversation partner. In my experience. Or, like, whenever I talk to Meowie, she does the same thing. She just says something, like, ridiculous. Or she'll ask me questions if I tell her about stuff. And I like that. I like it when people ask me questions. Rather than me having to ask them questions. Because usually with those kinds of people where they just tell me things because they want to have a conversation, they don't ask me follow-up questions. They just reply to everything I say and then don't try to carry the conversation any further, even though they clearly want to. They just don't have, like, the social skills to do it. Me, when I moved up Halo lore about the destructive power level of naval weapons, yeah, like, you know, that's a very common thing of, like, you know, making fun of someone who's bad at talking to someone is someone who just info dumps about anything. So, like, I always tell my Game of Thrones story for the date, where I basically info dumped about Game of Thrones lore for 8 hours. But I always try to tell the beginning parts of that story where I tried engaging her in conversation and she was just not taking it. And because she was stonewalling all of my questions and wasn't, like, expanding upon anything she said, I took the liberty to just talk about Game of Thrones, otherwise we would have sat there in silence. It was either info dump or sit there in silence because she was stonewalling all of my questions. And I decided, like, hey, if you're going to stonewall all my questions, I'm not going to sit here in awkward silence. I'm going to talk about something I like. Because you obviously are not contributing to this conversation, so I am going to just have it with myself. But that's not, like, a funny part of the story to explain that. It's much funnier if I just paint myself as, like, you know, an autistic weirdo who didn't know any better. You know? It's an act? Yeah, pretty much. You always gonna ask yourself, how would I respond to the question I'm asking? How would I continue the conversation? Well, the thing is, like, I read a lot of self-help books. I love self-help books. I read them about, like, every topic. And some of those self-help books were literally just about, like, how to talk to people, how to be a proper communicator, how to listen so that they feel heard, you know, stuff like that. And I think one of the best books I read was, like, Verbal Judo, like how to defuse, like, you know, conversations, arguments, I mean, and how to talk to kids so that they'll listen and, like, listen so they feel heard. And, like, the one about how to have conversations with children works so well with adults because so many adults are ridiculously immature, and, like, child talking techniques work on them just, like, better than trying to treat them like an adult. Oh, I also read books about, like, how to text women. Like, I read them all. Like, I love self-help books, but I also read self books, like, you know, how to be, like, an artist, how to, like, you know, get the monetization mindset, how to make it as, like, a content creator, how to, like, brand, how to, like, build super fans, how to manage your time, how to manage a team. Like, I consume all kinds of self-help books. And one funny thing I learned is that the average successful CEO attends 10 lectures on self-improvement per year. And I'm like, oh, I read like 50 self-help books a year. That's basically the same thing. No wonder I do so well. Because I'm constantly learning new shit. I need to consume how to monetize better. Maple, did I ever give you the document on how to monetize yourself? Here, let me give it to you. I spent all of January using all of my free time to create this document full of everything you need in order to grow a channel. And I only give it out through a direct link. It's not available publicly anywhere. Let me give it to you. And one of the sections is how to monetize your stream better. I don't think you have. No, I'm pretty sure I haven't given to you because I just finished it like a few weeks ago. So one of the segments is how to properly incentivize donations. And also, every single segment is professionally narrated, so you don't actually have to read anything. And by professionally narrated, I mean I narrated all of them. It was like an hour of recordings. So you don't even have to read the article, you can just have me explain it to you. Same thing for all of them. There's articles on how to use social media, how to properly incentivize donations, how to network properly, how to grow your stream, how to foster superfans, how often should you stream, 10 ways to make your streams more entertaining, 5 common mistakes streamers make and how to avoid them, how to collab correctly, how to make thumbnails that people want to click on, how to make titles that people want to click on, the algorithm is not your enemy, upload times for YouTube, why having goals is important, what is your brand, the myth of talent, and then also all of the audio files. Yeah, the holy source. If you have this and actually follow it, you will do successful. Do you guys know that one, like, VTuber who was, like, you know, they tried to cancel her because she has some very weird opinions about things? She's like a vampire VTuber. Anyways, I'm not going to go over what her controversy was, but part of the reason she's doing so well is because she's a fan of mine and she, like, followed all of my advice from my videos. All I'm saying is it works if you actually listen to me, but it's very hard to actually listen to me. Oh, the one that's in harassment? Yeah, that one. The reason she has a big audience is because she is a big fan of mine and listened to all of my advice on streaming. Actually, I'm not even kidding. Like, if you actually take my advice, you'll grow. The problem with my advice is that it's very hard to follow. Because it's basically like stream all the fucking time and like make clips. That person is a really interesting... Yeah, she's like literally mentally unstable.
I can't cast.
But she's a big fan of mine.
That's still charging.
Hello here. Hello there, Nair. We were talking about how to not be boring in conversations. Yeah, she's something. Do you think Mikon follows your advice? Mikon started her partner push after I sent her my video on 5 ways to grow your stream hard. No, 5 very hard ways to grow your stream. I sent her the video and the next day she started her partner push because she was motivated by it. I don't think she follows all the advice, but she was motivated by the video. I've always wondered what would happen if I actually followed Hero's advice. You would do super fucking well. That's what would happen. Like, I know what I'm doing, and I can replicate my success.
That smell is already.
A lot of streamers and YouTubers cannot replicate their success because they don't actually know what they're doing. They got lucky. I guess I should say, fortunately, Did not have like any talent in this field, so I had to learn everything I know through just like tons of hard work and research.
I can't cast that yet.
Oh, I also made a whole thing about merchandise, which I don't have added to this thing yet. Let me send it to you, Fel. I spent all day working on a merchandise document. Basically, I spent all day working on this thing about merchandise, and I figured out after doing math all day that merchandise is incredibly not worth the time and effort. I'm just like, wow, this is just not profitable. I'm surprised at how not profitable merch is. Getting started. Where the fuck is my merch video at? Ah, here it is, my merch planner. Here. Publish. Let me send it to Fel. Merch should just be... Oh, actually, I can send it... I don't know if Maple wants to see it. I just finished it today, so I'm like... tired. Merch is not profitable until you do a lot. Merch like stickers and stuff ain't bad. No, look at the profit margins on them. It is so bad. It's so ridiculous. I'm just like, I'd make more money if I put all the time and effort into this and just opening another YouTube channel instead. Where there's almost slim profits the first year of restaurants. Like, it's so bad. You need to make a play? Okay, I'll send it over to you. There's a lot of card game stuff in here, so you'll probably like it. Click your Chrono Boon? No. Here, I'll send it over to Maple. There's, like, information on playmats, card sleeves, deck boxes, and field centers. And you can see just, like, how really not worth it they are. Oh, and Dakimakuras? Super unprofitable. The wasted world buff. I can click on it whenever I want. I'm a genius. Oh, fuck. I deleted the Silithith clause. I have to go back and get them. Daki art. Yeah, Daki art is super expensive, even though the Dakis themselves are, like, pretty cheap to produce. Like, the art for them is so expensive. I think you'd have to sell, like,
That spell isn't ready yet.
I don't know, 15 of them to make a profit.
I can't cast that yet.
You dream of a Meowie Donkey is crushed. I mean, like, if she wants a Donkey, like, she can have one purchased. Like, at the top of my document, I say, like, you only make 50% of the profit because we, like, front all the money for the costs. So if you want to do something that's not profitable, you can. But just know you have a budget on what you're allowed to do. So if theoretically Meowie had a budget and wanted to create a Donkey, she theoretically could. Yeah, commercial fees. They charge so much for art if you're going to use it for merch. That's why, that's part of the reason it's expensive. The free one? Psh. Psh. Impossible. I have Miwa's Daki. It was like 100. Oh, you're one of the people who have Miwa's Daki? I was talking to like Miwa about it. And she's like, yeah, someone bought my Daki and they take it with him everywhere. And she was so happy about it. I got a notification. Who messaged me? Oh, Maple was just pinning something. Which artist is that? Every artist look at is 2 times. Yeah, it's usually 50%. No, it's usually 2 times as much. Where did you find someone where it's only 50%? I was like, oh my god, source? Source? Give me your source? Yeah, they charge so much for merchandising rights, and it's like not even worth it. I don't really get why they charge so much. Like, what is the point? Like, we're gonna have the art anyway. Like, why do they charge so much for merchandise? The most I found was 10 times. God damn it. Because you're making money off their work, so? Like, we're not going to make money off of having the art anyway? What is a daki? A daki makara is a pillowcase that goes on a very long pillow that usually has like a lewd character on it so that you can sleep with it or do other stuff with it. Oh yeah, it's called a body pillow. That's what it is. Other stuff? Go online and type in Dakimakura. XXX. Oh, I gotta go back to,
Peace, friend. Ancestors watch over you.
the crossroads to get the thing. No, thank you. They even have a rule for it. It's called Rule 34. Go look it up. Dakimakura. Rule 34.
Be careful.
They're usually really silky and soft. I mean, it depends on the material used. Dakis usually have a say-so and unsay-so side. Yeah, so you can have the say-so side face up for when people come over and they look at you weird. Some dude marry their daki? Whoa. You have a daki of a character? Which one? Both sides are unsay-so. Which character, Mirai Panda? You want a Mori daki? I think she has an official one, doesn't she? And I'm pretty sure there's tons of unofficial ones that are much cheaper. Alicia from Kurinu. I don't know who that is. But I can check Google. Is a rollable waifu character in Mude. The Mude Wiki. What the hell is Mude? Mude is a Discord-based entertainment bot and focuses on this wiki. What? I was looking at the wrong thing. What is this? I've never heard of this show before. Legends of the Multiverse Universe Wiki? Is this an anime? Which, oh, that's a very famous hentai? Wait, maybe I'm thinking of something else. Wait, is it a hentai? I don't know shit about hentai. The only unsayable thing I have is a keychain picture of a blade from Honkai Star Rail. Wow, you guys are all over here self-reporting. You guys are all sick. Secret stream, no one will see? Fair enough. Thanks, I know. That's your first message today, Professor Pills. Are you happy? Tazdingo. Tazdingo.
What you want?
You're pretty fucked up after all. Most of us play Yu-Gi-Oh! Dude, I remember in high school, I had this group of kids that I'd play Yu-Gi-Oh! With behind the math buildings. And I was so happy to find people who played Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I thought I was the only one. And not only did they play Yu-Gi-Oh! But they played physical Yu-Gi-Oh!
What's up?
And the first time I met them,
Keep it real.
I was on my PSP walking around the buildings playing Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Force 3, which was not available in America So I had to buy it off of eBay for an EU version, which was in English. So like I was a hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh-er having a rare game that wasn't even available in the US. And I walked up to them and they were both playing Yu-Gi-Oh with each other. And I'm like, oh my god. I play Yu-Gi-Oh too, and I showed them my game and I was like, see, I'm playing it literally right now. And they're like, oh my goodness gracious, you should play with us sometime. I'm like, yeah, I should. And they were both super casual. Like the most casual people ever. They tried to tell me that you can summon monsters in face-up defense position. I knew it was wrong, but I was like, whatever. These people play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's cool. And they were so weird. They were so bad. But they would brag about their decks all the time. I'm just like, and like one of them, he wouldn't do any of his homework or any of his schoolwork, and he was like flunking all of his classes, and he'd brag about how he had 2 jobs working at like McDonald's and Burger King, so that he could buy more packs. And I'm just like, And the other guy would brag about having a whole bunch of different kinds of decks, but he was terrible at all of them, and none of them were good. And like I had my macro monarch deck and I had to stop using it because like I would just win easily every single time I played them. So I started building gimmick decks just so I could McDonald's and Burger. No, I know he worked at Burger King. I don't know what the other one was though. I know for sure one of those jobs was Burger King, but he would brag about having 2 jobs. I just don't remember what the other one was. Of course, yeah, of course I used macro monarch. The deck was so fun, but it was like too good because macro monarch is a floodgate deck. So I played a lot of the normal instead, or just like some other stuff. Because I would just win all the time if I didn't go super easy on them because they were just so bad. And they were so weird, and they were not fun to hang out with because they had no social skills. But I still went and played with them every day because I was desperate to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And they were the only people I knew who played it. But I never hung out with them outside of school. I didn't have any of their numbers. After high school ended, I never talked to them ever again. I never had them added on Facebook because why would I? They were so weird and not good at the game. But I wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So I put up with them. Here was lonely? Hell yeah, I was. The thing is, in high school, I had tons of friends, but none of them shared my interests. They were all a bunch of fucking normies, and I hated it. I was the only person who would, like, play video games all the time, you know, openly. I would tell them all about World of Warcraft and how they should try it. And they're like, I want to go home and play Call of Duty. And it's like, I hate Call of Duty. It's so boring. Yeah. And, like, I just didn't have anything in common with anyone, and it sucked. I hated it. Even though I had tons of friends, and I made friends very easily, and they all loved me. They loved hanging out with me. They'd invite me to hang out all the time. I was like, of course you guys love hanging out with me. I'm hilarious. You guys are boring, though, because I don't care about any of you. I have more fun going home and playing World of Warcraft by myself than hanging out with any of you people. That's what I did. And then as soon as high school ended, I stopped talking to all of them. Because I just, like, I was just so done. I was so tired of not having anything in common with any of my friends. And then I met people online. And then I finally had people that I had things in common with. And then I was like, whew, I finally got what I wanted, and it's really not that big a deal. And then that's when I started making friends with normies again. Because I was just like, I'm so tired of normies. They're so annoying. But there's one cool thing about normies is they have actual good social skills. So you can talk to them as long as you're not just like info dumping. And that's when I met my friend Sarah, who was a normie and didn't like anything like nerd related. And we were like best friends for 10 years. Even though she didn't play anything or watch anything nerdy related. And then you met VTubers? No, I had a lot of female friends, even online. I thought I had friends on the internet, but I'm pretty sure I'm just parasocial. Logs, when do you want to do Black Mirror Season 2 Episode 1 watch along? Oh my god, how long is that? So I remember when I started playing World of Warcraft, and World of Warcraft became like my job. Because like on the interview show I did like a week or two ago, they asked me what was the thing that prepared you for like World of Warcraft, not World of Warcraft, for like content creation the most. And I was like, oh, I was actually playing the World of Warcraft auction house. I don't think anything prepared me for YouTube more than that did. And so I play all the time. I was constantly on the limit of new characters, looking for like new professions to go into. It was just like running a YouTube channel. You go into a new business and see if it sells and what the profit margins are, and if it doesn't, you give up. And you try something else. And if it works, then you find a way to make it more efficient so you don't have to spend as much time on it, so you can work on other things. And then at a certain point, I was supplying like 50% of all of the stuff on the server because I was just like so into it deep. And it's just like running a YouTube channel because you try new things, and if they suck, you stop doing them. And then you keep trying new things to see, like, you know, what works, and you try to put other stuff that does work on maintenance mode. So that you can keep trying new things. Anyways, while I was doing all this, that's when I met Stim, actually. Because Stim had just joined the raid team, and, they wanted me to teach her how to play,
That's still recharging.
Disc Priest.
That spell isn't.
And then while I was teaching her, she mentioned she had a Warlock. She's like, oh yeah, I've only really like, you know, DPS my Warlock in raids. And I was like, oh, you have a Warlock? She's like, yeah. She's like, is it leveled up? She's like, yeah. I was like, do you want to do arenas with me? Because at this point, I was obsessed with finding a Warlock arena partner. And she said, oh, my Warlock's not geared. And I was like, don't worry. I'll help you gear it up. All I want is someone who plays Warlock and is willing to play with me. Because I wanted a Warlock partner so bad. And the reason I wanted a Warlock partner was specifically because I wanted to play Shadow Cleave. Shadow Cleave is when me, the Warlock, and, you know, the Shadow... I play my Shadow Priest, they play the Warlock, and we both just dot up targets and then fear them. And they die to the dots. And then we just keep fearing them over and over until they die to the dots. And it's so much fun. But I could never find a Warlock. And then that's when I met Stim, and I was like desperate. So like I unintentionally gave her a whole bunch of attention because I was just into her Warlock. And then one day she didn't log on like at night because we would like play together every day because I was like trying to gear up her Warlock. And the next day she logged in. I was like, Stim, can I have your number so I can ask you when you're not going to log in? She's like, okay. And then she started texting me to just have casual conversations. And I was like, well, I don't want to be rude. And that's how we became friends. I think she mistook my interest in her Warlock as interest in her. And then we became friends, and then she loved hanging out with me all the time, and then that's how it's been ever since. However, I also had other friends too.
I can't cast that yet.
I was also friends with this other girl named Cindy. Cindy Patra. I met her shortly after Stim. And she also played a priest, and she was also in the guild, and they also asked me to teach her how to do stuff. And then while we were talking, I found out that she really liked transmog, which I hated. But this was before they had transmog in the game. And, whatchamacallit? Cindy, like, was willing to do arenas. And I was like, hey, I can help you run transmog raids if you do some arenas with me.
That spell isn't ready.
You hate... yeah, I don't like transmog.
I can't.
But she loved transmog, and this is before they had transmog, like, in the game. She would just go out and get outfits, and then actually just, like, put them on. She was, like, a hardcore person. And so we would hang out a lot, and, like, play, we'd go and do raids and stuff, because I wanted to, like, you know... Because her priest was really geared, because she also raided with us, too. And it wasn't as good as, like, having a Warlock partner, but a Shadow Priest partner was still Shadow Cleave. Because we could still dot things up and then, like, fear them. So I wanted to try that out. And then I met like another friend because like the hunter in one of the other guilds I was in, like he wanted to bring his wife along because we had like an open spot. And she played hunter, but she was really bad at it, and I was really good at my hunter. So they asked me to teach her how to play hunter. And then we became friends, and then I taught her how to play her stupid class, and she refused to download a DPS add-on, and I don't know why. It was super annoying. And I tried to explain to her that it's not a handicap. No one thinks you're bad if you don't play a DPS add-on. And she's like, oh no, but I don't want to. My computer can't handle it. And I'm just like, bullshit, your computer can't handle it. I don't know why you don't want to download a fucking DPS add-on. It's so... Your DPS is really bad. You need a DPS add-on. And she wouldn't do it. And then she started playing a warlock, and she played a demonology warlock, which was the hardest class in the game at the time, and she was really bad at it. And I'm just like, for the love of God, download a DPS add-on. She just refused to do it. And then she would always say that we were best friends because we both like to watch anime and we would talk about it. And I'm just like, I don't know about that, but you're nice and we do hang out sometimes. I would probably think Stim is my best friend. And then maybe Cindy. Maybe you're like a third. But you're available more than the other two because they actually have like jobs. They go out and do things. Because Cindy was in California because she was trying to make it as an animator. And Stim was in college. And Tyga was, her name was Tyga, was, well, her and her husband were married, and then he was living off of his savings and his mom, and she wasn't very happy. They divorced eventually. But they would just stay home all day and play video games together, except they weren't together because it was actually like me and her hanging out and like Skype call, and then he was just kind of doing his own thing and would sometimes chime in like in the background because he would listen to us all the time. So like I'd hang out with Tyga until Stim got home, and then I'd hang out with her, and then eventually Stim would go to sleep, and then I'd hang out with like Cindy at night because that's when Cindy would play. And then like when I wasn't playing WoW, I would hang out with Sarah because she was my IRL friend. And so like back then I had 4 very close female friends who I hung out with all the time, which is kind of the exact same case I have today. And this is all before I had any clout. I lived, I worked a minimum wage job. I wasn't in college at the time.
That spell isn't ready yet.
And what was nice about them was I knew they liked me for me because I had nothing. I was just playing WoW all the time. It was such simpler times. And I eventually met like Cindy was also very into cosplay too. She still does it occasionally too, because like I'm friends with all of them on Facebook. And then Tyga, she's really into being a mom now, but I felt really bad for her because like when she got divorced and she found like a new guy, they tried really hard to have a kid, but she kept having miscarriages. But she seems like really over it, and I'm just like, I wonder if that's like a sore subject to ask, because like I'm pretty sure like having a bunch of miscarriages is gonna like mess with you, but I don't know how to broach that subject. So I've been kind of like afraid to talk to her because of that. But I did talk to her like last year. We hung up, we talked for the first time. One of the first things you asked was like, "Are you still friends with Stim?" I'm like, yeah. Me and Stim have never stopped talking, even though like we did, and like me and Cindy did. Because like Cindy eventually had to move back home because she couldn't make it as an animator in California, and she moved back to her house. And then she met some new guy and they got married, and she doesn't really play video games anymore, but she still cosplays occasionally. And then Tyga, after she divorced her guy, she didn't want to play World of Warcraft anymore because she would only play it with me or her husband, and I wasn't really playing much anymore. Well, I couldn't play as much as I used to because like, I actually like was doing YouTube at that time. Because I remember when I first started doing YouTube videos, I showed my videos to like, you know, Stim, Cindy, and Tyga. I didn't show Sarah because Sarah didn't give a shit.
I'm out of range.
And then like, if I hung out, I'd also hang out with Sarah all the time, like off stream.
Ready yet.
Well, I don't know why I said off stream, but like off thing. And then eventually, I just grew apart from Cindy because when Cindy quit playing World of Warcraft, she made like a big deal about it, and she was like super adamant about not adding people on Facebook because one time, one of the people in our guild, in our group chat, in our raid chat, found out that she had added me on Facebook, but she had told him that she didn't add anyone to Facebook, and so then when he found out that she added me to Facebook, he got like pissy about it and was like giving her crap, and then she like in the middle of raid went on call. She's like, okay guys, and she like called everyone out. She's like, stop asking me for my Facebook. I'm gonna remove everybody from my Facebook because you guys are being weird about it. And so she removed me too, and I'm like, that's fair because like they are being annoying and like I don't really need you on Facebook. But she was like super adamant about it. So like when she quit playing WoW, she was like, hey, we can like exchange emails so we can keep in touch. And so like we communicated through emails like every week. It was like, almost like having a pen pal. She would send like a really long email about her life, and then I'd reply back with a really long email about my life. And then we kept that up for like years. That was kind of fun. I kind of miss that. There are guys who want girls' attention. So yeah, basically I was like friends with all of the women in the raid team except for like one of them because she was kind of weird.
That's still recharging.
Thankfully nobody uses Facebook anymore. I still use Facebook, but mainly because I just use that to talk to one of my friends. Well, and I would use it to talk to Sarah when she was still alive because she didn't know how to use Discord. WoW makes friendships. You see, the thing is, when you're extroverted, you make friends a lot easier than people who are not. Especially, I think one of the reasons I'm able to make female friends so easily is because I don't hit on them. And I have very clear intentions with like my friendships with them. That's one of the things, like when I was talking to Kira recently, she's like, you know, it's nice talking to you specifically because I know what your intentions are. Your intentions are you just like helping people with content creation and info dumping about YouTube stuff. And I'm like, yeah, of course.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet.
But I don't really know how other guys interact with women. That's just like something I assume.
Out of range.
Because I've always had lots of female friends, and I don't really understand why other guys can't until I hear stories about like, basically telling me like every guy friend they've ever had has asked them out. And I'm just like, I've never asked out any of my female friends. And I've had lots of them. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's why they're more comfortable with me and not anyone else. University was a time for that for me. Yeah, like pretty much every girl I know has stories where every guy friend they've ever had has eventually asked them out or tried to sleep with them. And I'm pretty sure the only reason I'm able to have so many female friends is because I don't do that. And that makes me think, like, what's wrong with me? Like, am I abnormal? I'm pretty sure I'm a normal dude. This seems like the most, like, obvious thing in the world. Like, is it one of those cases where everybody's wrong and I'm the only one who's right? Or am I just abnormal? You know, the questions you think about yourselves at night. Like, maybe I am autistic. I've had 5 girls ask me out. I've never asked anyone out. Damn, boy. You have me beat. You normal? But then I realize I have no chance. I already know they have someone else where I'm going to, and I just don't even do it to because I think, like, I'm very intentional about, like, placing them, like, in a non-sexualized way in my head. Where I just see them for, like, the qualities of their person other than, like, the qualities of their body or the qualities of a potential relationship. So I just kill any idea of a potential relationship or any idea of like their physical appearance, and I solely judge them based on like the qualities of their character. So if a girl is boring, I have no interest in her, you know, as a friend.
Target.
Specifically when it comes to friends, this is not how I think of all women, because I have been interested in girls before and I have asked them out, but they were never friends. They were always like people who I like barely knew, or who like, you know, I just wasn't friends with, but I knew of them. My IRL friends who I talk to a lot is a girl. Yeah, like I used to hang out with my friend Sarah all the time in person. And we would always go out to places, and people would always think we were dating, because, like, obviously if a guy and a girl are going somewhere by themselves. So I just got used to saying, no, I'm not her boyfriend. Or she would say, she's like, no, he's not. We've been friends for 16 years now. Damn. Your roommate is a girl?
I can't cast that yet.
Hmm.
That's still recharging.
That's when you're supposed to laugh awkwardly? Your roommate? I think that's going a little bit too far. Maybe, I don't know. It really depends on the context. I remember, it really depends on the context, because I knew Sarah would ask to live with me a couple of times, and I'd always tell her no because it just felt weird. It's just like, I know we're not dating, and I have no intention to, but I don't know if we should live together.
That spell.
Because it just feels weird. I can't explain why, but I do trust my gut on things.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Like, for example, me and Stem went to Vegas together, and we had separate hotel rooms. And it was never brought up as a possibility that we would share one, because that would be really fucking weird. You know?
I can't cast that yet.
It really wouldn't be. Like, I think it heavily depends on your context. Like, what your relationship is with the person, because I can think of some situations where it wouldn't be weird. But for me, in the context of all my friends, I think, like, yeah, that'd be weird. Like, literally every friend I have. TwitchCon San Diego this time. I'm excited. But I hate California, and I hate San Diego. Do you know how many homeless people are in San Diego, Maple? It's going to be awful. It's going to make Vegas look like... Honestly, Vegas is so bad, I can't even say that. Holy shit, is Vegas awful. I thought it was LA that was bad. San Diego is where all the homeless people are, but like there's lots of homeless people in LA too. They're both bad. They're both bad. It's just San Diego has nicer weather, I guess. But holy shit, does it fucking suck. And their roads are awful and congested, and there's cars parked everywhere because there's just too many fucking people who live in a very small area. It is nice if your area... And there's... Did I forget to mention there's tons of homeless people? Because there's a lot of them. Especially in touristy areas and around convention centers. Keep talking about literally sitting right now. This sounds like NYC. I don't know about literally any city, because my city is not like that. Logs hates the homeless people. I don't want to walk around tons of homeless people when I'm on vacation. Or like when I'm out and about. We have homeless people here too, but I give them like 20 bucks if they ask me for money. But there's so many in like California at the places I go to, because they're always like, you know, convention centers or touristy areas, that I wouldn't be able to do that because there's just so many of them. Like, I'm fine with some homeless people, but when there's that many, it's just like unpleasant, because a lot of them are like, you know, they have mental health problems and they're unhinged, and one of them like barked at me once. Like, they're just not pleasant people to be around.
That spell isn't ready yet.
It's a very specific fear.
Cast that yet.
I don't think it's a specific fear. I think it's a very rational concern.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
There's so many homeless people in San Diego that it's dangerous. Yeah. Because a lot of the times they're homeless because they have like unmedicated mental health problems, or they're drug addicts, or both. Not all the time. Sometimes you're just homeless because you're just down on your luck, or you just, you know, got really unlucky. And like, I don't judge. If any homeless person ever asks me for money, I always give them 20 bucks. Like, I'm someone who's probably given more money to homeless people than all of y'all combined. However, when there's a whole bunch of them, it is incredibly unpleasant. And it is actually just like a little bit dangerous. I don't give homeless people money. I offer food. It's better to just give them money, because who are you to like make them perform for you in order to get food? If anything, I think people who only give them food instead of money because they don't want them to spend on drugs are like assholes. Like straight up. Like they don't understand what it's like to be homeless. Like they're already having a hard enough time. Don't make it harder for them by treating them like a piece of shit who you can't trust with money. If you give them $20, they might swarm you. Yeah. I can give people 20 bucks here, no problem, because it's not a problem. But over in California, oof. I will admit I'm very jaded towards homeless people because they were people in my neighborhood when I was young that begged for money to get money. I mean, I begged for money too when I was young, but that was because I actually wanted, like, to buy food with it. Enslaved demon apparently was able to control metamorph for 5 minutes, but that was nerfed down to 10 seconds. Oh, that's cool. You can give homeless people big pills. It's common tactic for mugging. No, like, I don't care cash on me. I ask, hey, I don't have cash. Do you want something to eat instead? When they had plenty of money was the problem. They begged for money when they got home when they had plenty of money. Oh, yeah. You know what's really funny about that? Like, there are people who absolutely just pretend to be homeless because they beg for money. And the reason they do that is because the average person is very generous and, like, giving.
I can't cast that yet.
Like, as someone who was homeless for a bit, I have nothing but like positive opinions about just the average person in the world, because I witnessed so many, like a ridiculous amount of good people who just wanted to help. I also witnessed a whole bunch of very evil, scummy people who were just like awful people who probably should not be out on the streets. But I also just met so many genuinely kind and caring people that it's like staggering how many there are.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Like, I think anyone who like thinks the world is an awful place and everybody's out to get them probably just doesn't go outside. Like, honestly. They probably spend all their time on the internet. Because like there's a reason normies are always so like happy, you know? There's a lot of people like that in my area. And because the average person is so nice, actually, you can make a pretty decent amount if you're just like a professional beggar.
I can't cast that.
In fact, there was this villain in one of Stephen King's books. Like, Stephen King is a very famous author for like horror and stuff. And in one of his books, the villain was like a politician, and he was able to become like so successful and like, you know, get up in the world because at an early age he learned that people are very generous when you run donation drives. And so he would constantly use the fact that he knew the average person was super generous if you gave them a good cause to donate to, that he would basically use that to advance his career. And I always found that like fascinating, that like this villain who's like an evil person who, like, the point of the story was that he was going to grow up to be like a future Hitler, was able to be so successful because he knew how nice the average person was.
I can't cast
And he would, like, monologue about this sometimes. He's like, man, people just don't understand, like, how, you know, gullible people are. Like, it's so easy to get them to give you money if you just give them a sob story.
That's still recharging.
It's almost like stealing candy from a baby. And I was like, man, as someone who grew up around a whole bunch of people, so true. Honestly, one of the biggest tools of manipulation you can have is the ability to, like, just weaponize pity. Which is why I'm so adamant about not accepting stuff from pity.
I'm out of range.
I go outside for working food. Exploit people's good intentions to get power. No politician would ever do that. Yeah, he was a really good villain. I really liked how he would do his villainous deeds, was basically just exploiting people's generosity. And, like, that was his main superpower, was he was really good at exploiting people's generosity. And he was so convinced that the average person was generous and good that he was able to get really far. Because he was just proven right every time.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
Unless it gets yourself banned another channel. What? Unless it's to get yourself unbanned another channel. I asked Stim to unban me in Leah's channel. No, I asked Stim to ask Leah to unban me in her channel. And Stim told me, no, you probably deserved it. And I was just like, but I didn't. They have a reward that's specifically there just to ban me. Yeah, it's a redeem. And I also told her, like, you know, I don't actually care about getting unbanned, but I want you to say it because I think it'll be funny. And she still said no. And then you play the pity card on them. Well, I remember when I was, like, really sad, like, a few months ago. I would go to my friends' DMs. I'd be like, you know, Meowie, I'm sad. Say something nice about me. They would. And then that's how I came up with, like, a tier list of, like, who was the best at cheering me up.
Well met.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to go for 10 minutes. Yeah, they literally have 100,000 point redeem to ban me for 10 minutes. And it has been redeemed more than once. Where Miwa was last. That's because, you know, I guess I should say, you know, English isn't her first language. But also, Miwa's very, like, articulate and good at talking. So it's more the fact that she's just bad at cheering people. Is Meow ever gonna voice a Pokemon again? I'd like her to, but getting Meowie to do anything she doesn't want to do is like pulling teeth.
That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging.
We redeem every time you are there. Nuh-uh, it's only been redeemed a few times. It's too expensive. A few people have the points for that since most people spend points on hair redeems and the other weird stuff. Yeah, I have like 200,000 points in her channel. It's because there's nothing I want to spend the points on.
I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging.
That's a named NPC.
It's too far away.
Go get him, Stimpack.
That spell isn't ready yet.
Also, it costs money. I never bothered anyone to cheer up because they'd be burdening someone, so instead I bundled up and crumple. Oh, but you see, Fel, the difference between you and me is that I have a lot of friends who care about me a lot because I'm very charismatic and extroverted. So I know that they'll want to cheer me up if I ask them, and usually they do.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
And also because when they're sad, I'm a great listener because I read lots of books on how to be a good listener. Do you guys want to know how to be a good listener? I'll give you guys tips. Let me give you guys tips on how to be the best listener for someone. If someone's having problems, what you do is find ways to give them validation. A lot of the times when people are complaining or like, you know, just talking about something that's upsetting them, they're not looking for solutions or just to have someone to talk to. They're looking for validation. And like, what does it mean to validate someone? Well, usually if someone's upset, find out why they're upset, try to see why they're probably upset, and be like, oh, wow, it sucks that, like, you know, they yelled at you like that when you were just trying to, like, help. And they're like, yeah. Or it's like, oh, you know, that's terrible. Like, you know, if I were you, I'd feel like shit. Like, that's awful. What happened to you, like, sucks. And they'd be like, yeah, it does suck. And, like, validation, oh, man. It's like, it scratches the brain just right. People love to be validated. It's like crack. It's like crack and like talking for. Express empathy? No, specifically validation. Because a lot of people don't validate. Like if they start talking about their problems, they're like, oh, you know, the thing you're upset about, it's kind of stupid. Like the thing you're upset about is dumb. You know, like they'll try to like correct them, or like you're like, oh, you know, you shouldn't be mad about that because, you know, like you don't know their point of view and blah blah blah. No, don't do that. You give them validation. Validation does not mean telling them they're correct. You just say like, oh, I understand why you're upset. You know, even if you think like they're completely wrong, you're just like, you know, that's super upsetting that you feel that way. It's like for example, say someone is like paranoid. They think the government's spying on them. And, you know, they say like, oh, the mailman came today and he put something in my package. You know, your first thought is like, you're fucking crazy. But that's a person who wants validation. And instead you would say like, wow, you know, that must be very scary. Like, you know, if someone was like spying on me, like I'd be scared. And they're like, yeah, it is really scary. Like, man, you must be going through a lot right now. You know, I'm sorry you're going through this. That really sucks. Like if I thought someone was spying on me, I'd be freaking out too. And they're like, yeah, you get it. That's giving someone validation. You're not telling them what they're thinking is correct or like it's even true. You're just understanding how they feel. And they love it. Labeling, I think we read the same book. I don't think I've ever read a book called Labeling, but if it's a book about giving validation, they probably all say the same thing.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready.
I think you make a good point. Of course I do. I'm a genius. I read shit tons of self-help books. And then that's it. That's validation. They'll feel better. And then if you have good social skills, you'll be able to, you know, turn the conversation to something else, or just like exit the conversation and do something else because you're probably busy and they like probably interrupt what you were doing to talk. That's how it is for me anyway.
That's still recharging.
Like a lot of the times people just want validation. What books do you recommend? I don't remember which book that was, to be perfectly honest, because I read a lot of self-help books. I don't even bother to remember their names anymore. Finding the underlying emotion and calling out. Yeah, exactly. Like validation is not about telling them they're right. Or like, you know, that, you know, they're wrong. You definitely don't want to tell them they're wrong. It's just about understanding the emotion they're feeling and then just telling them like, you know, it's okay to feel that way.
I can't trust them.
And that's how you be the best listener that everybody wants to go to with their problems. I gotta go. It's late. Collect Nack's skull. I think sometimes it's good to say they're wrong. I mean, sure, there's always situations where you could just say they're wrong, but we're talking specifically about how to be a good listener here. And in those situations, you don't tell people they're wrong. You give them validation.
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet.
You like the book Never Split the Difference? Why? What's that about?
I'm out of range.
A lot of good points. I mean, I think sometimes don't go D-logs. I have abandonment issues. Sucks to be you. I'm good. I listen to my friends when they need it, but I did too much of that in college. Ended up being everyone's trauma dump person, and it was exhausting. Yep. One of the problems with being a good listener is most people are not good listeners, so if they find out you're a good listener, you'll become their trauma dumping person, and it is very stressful. Where the fuck is Neck? I need to collect this bitch's skull. I'm often the trauma dump person, but I end up being okay with it. Personally, I'm not super okay with it either.
It's not ready yet.
But, like, a lot of my friends are there for me when I need to trauma dump. So, I'm not trying to be selfish and only taking. I like to also give. So even though it's not like fun and it's kind of stressful, I do it anyway because, like, it would be incredibly selfish not to. Because I definitely message them about my problems. Like, messaging them to tell them I'm sad and to specifically say something nice to me so it'll cheer me up. And they do. Back in my day, we didn't have quest arrows. I need my quest arrows, otherwise I have to think. I'm here to relax, not to think. Oh, I can just Hearthstone. What add-on is that? Zygor. I actually have to pay $8 a month for this add-on. It has a subscription, and it's worth it. For the go and do this. Yeah, I ain't paying for that. No, that's fair. It's worth it for me. I fucking love this add-on. I can't imagine playing WoW without it. It's so good.
Go in. How may I aid you?
You might think I'm crazy for paying a sub on top of a sub, but like I was doing this even back when I didn't have money because the add-on is just that good. How to Relax and Not to Think, a self-help book. I remember I tried really hard to find a good book about anxiety when I was having really bad anxiety. And I couldn't find any good ones. All the self-help books were awful, or they just made me more anxious. Because they're like, I know you're probably anxious. Let me talk about all these terrible things happening in the world that are probably making you anxious. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know about half those things. Now I'm more anxious. What the fuck, book? Also, let me tell you about my life and my friend's life and, you know, my doctor and my doctor's story. And at the end of the book, I'm going to tell you to just, like, relax and, like, you know, take a weekend or whatever. I'm like, wow, this book sucked. And I remember I found another book, and basically the girl just started talking about her journey with Christianity and how she found God. And how through God she was able to get rid of her anxiety. And I'm just like, why do all these books suck? Do you still have anxiety problems? I'm on meds for it. I have really bad anxiety problems. I can't drive right now because I have panic attacks all the time. Anyways, I gotta go. But my anxiety problems are different than the ones I used to have when I was reading those books. Like back then it used to be all mental anxiety where I'd constantly worry about shit. And like in therapy, I learned the reason I worried about stuff so much was because I had so much confidence in myself that I thought I could change the world if I just tried harder. And the fact that I wasn't trying harder is the only reason bad things happened. And I'm like, damn, I had no idea I thought like that. Holy shit, therapy is awesome. But I have like, you know, physical panic attacks and I don't know what the cause is. And currently I'm in therapy right now. And we're trying to figure out what's causing the panic attacks because I don't know what it is. Like, I have panic attacks all the time. And we're just like looking at a whole bunch of random things, like, you know, hey, let's just go through past things and maybe we'll find out what's causing this. I'm like, oh, thank God, because I would love to find out what's causing them, because I don't know. Look, I have my ghost, and it's fully ready to go, even though it's not on here. Did you go to a psychiatrist for ADHD yet? No, because I'm currently dealing with my anxiety problems. They're a little bit more prudent. Hey, Mekon streaming. Mekon doesn't know about this account. We're going to go over to Mekon, and I need you guys to be cool. And don't tell her who I am. Just tell her I'm a Minecraft streamer who loves Minecraft and doesn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright.